Sitting before you is 3 different kinds of spring compressors that you can use on your classic Ford. But only one of these is something that I am willing to trust my life with.
Greetings, fellow DIYer, and welcome to my video.
So this video is going to have 3 parts. We are going to talk about these different spring compressors that are here on the bench. I'm going to give you some information on how I built this unit right here. And then I'm going to tell you the story about how one of these sent me to the emergency room. If you want to skip ahead to the build on this part, go to the timestamp that we're going to put right there. And if you would like to skip directly ahead to hear the wonderful story of how one of these sent me to the emergency room, skip to the timestamp that we're going to put right there. Spring compressors. What do they do? Well, it's in the name. A spring compressor compresses a spring. If you're working on a classic Ford, say a Falcon or a Mustang or some later 60s Fairlanes, the suspension design is basically the same. You have a shock tower, you have an upper control arm, you have a spring perch on said upper control arm, and then you have a spring installed between the top of the shock tower and the spring perch. And to get those springs in and out, in most cases, requires a spring compressor. Now, if you have lowering springs that are super stiff, oftentimes you can get those in and out without a spring compressor. But honestly, I don't ever recommend those type of springs because they make for a really stiff ride. I like a nice performance OEM type spring in my suspension so that the suspension can react and do what it's supposed to do. And that means going with one of these. Now, before we get started on anything talking about spring compressors, I want you to know that this is not a masterclass in how to compress a spring to work on your suspension. If you choose to use a spring compressor and remove the springs from your car, you're doing so at your own risk. Springs, when compressed, have hundreds of pounds of load on them, and if they release instantly, that is a lot of force. A person can get seriously injured or worse if a spring compressor comes loose and the spring goes flying. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be doing any work on a classic Ford, removing the springs, working on the suspension, be super careful, be super mindful of where your body is, where your fingers are, and know that you are definitely choosing to take a risk. Now, the first thing we have is your outside spring compressor. Now, these always come in a pair, but I didn't have a ton of room here on the bench, so I'm just showing you one. So there's a couple issues with using one of these. First and foremost, on a classic Ford like a Mustang and other classic Fords of similar design, the spring lives inside a shock tower. And it's really hard to get this on the spring on both sides, be perfectly even with each other, and get it tightened down with the limitations of the shock tower. Now, I've seen guys use similar compressors to these and get it to work, but it's not super easy. The other thing that I don't like about this spring compressor is it's super hard to get everything balanced. If you don't have both of them installed in the exact same location relative to each other, the spring is going to kind of twist as you're compressing it. If you don't have the exact same height difference between the two springs, it's going to twist. It's not going to be sitting evenly. And if it's not sitting evenly, it's more likely to come loose. So that's why this is not a good option for the classic Ford. Now you may be wondering, everything I have is Ford. Why do I have this? Well, if I'm being completely honest, I went to O'Reilly's yesterday and I bought this and I bought this. And once we're done shooting the video, these two things are going back. Why? Because this is my spring compressor of choice. This is something that I built, I put together, I made some improvements to, and in my humble opinion, this is the only way to compress a spring on a classic Ford. Next, we have the internal type spring compressor. Now, a couple things happen with this. Basically, the way this works is these claws fit on the coils of the spring. And then as you tighten this down, these two pieces move closer together, compressing the spring. Seems fairly straightforward. Getting this to work on a classic Mustang can be a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes you actually have to use a piece of pipe on this end between the washer and the body to get the correct distance and correct throw to be able to compress things. And frankly, this guy seems like it would be a whole lot better. It seems like with 4 claws, putting it inside the spring, everything is going to be lined up and everything is going to be working well. The problem is, this can slip. This can be sitting on the coils. You can completely get things lined up, set up exactly where you want it, and then the whole assembly can twist inside the spring, causing it to pop loose and releasing the spring tension. And that is exactly how one of these units sent me to the ER. I was changing the springs on my classic Mustang, and I had already done the passenger spring. We had gotten the old spring out, we'd gotten the new spring in. The whole process was a little unnerving, but it was not too bad. I came around to the driver's side, installed my spring compressor in the spring, and got it all tightened down, and then I reached in to remove the spring. Now, this is where I made a critical mistake. Instead of sticking my fingers inside the coil, I stuck my fingers underneath the coil. And as I was trying to remove the spring compressor let go. This resulted in my hand being pinned between the spring perch and the bottom of the spring. Now, if you look right there, you'll see a wedding band. And this is not the wedding band that I got married in. This is a tungsten wedding band because under pressure, they will pop. And it was the failure of a spring compressor just like this that caused me to change to this type of wedding band. Thankfully, when it did fail, the wedding band wasn't damaged, my fingers weren't permanently damaged. But at that point, I determined that going with a tungsten band was going to be a whole lot safer if I wasn't going to take my wedding band off in the shop. So back to my story. I'm now pinned between the spring and the spring perch by my left hand. The garage door is shut. I can look across to the passenger side fender and hey, there's my phone. I can't reach it. All the tools that I had used for the install of the passenger side spring are still on the other side. I was just trying to get the spring out. The only tool that I had within reach of where I was working, at least the radius that I had being pinned by my hand, was a 1/2-inch box wrench. Now, a 1/2-inch box wrench is not very big. There's not a lot of leverage there. But somehow I managed to wedge the end of the wrench in underneath the spring, pry up, and get these 2 fingers out. Then I came in on the other side, managed to pry up, get my pointer finger out. Lastly, don't want to be rude and make any obscene gestures, I put that box wrench in there and I pried up for all that I was worth, was able to remove my hand. Went to the emergency room. There was definitely damage to my hand, but there was no broken bones, no serious injury, and I was able to make a full recovery. I have full use of my hand. I still have my fingers, all is well. But that terrified me. There was no way that I was going to ever use a spring compressor like this again. So at that point, I needed to come up with a better solution. Enter this right here. This is a bolt-in spring compressor. Now, the way this works is this part bolts into your spring perch, so it can't twist, can't move. Then we have a tube coming up. We've got a piece of all thread. If I was doing it again, I actually would purchase Acme type all thread instead of just regular run-of-the-mill hardware store all thread. We have a cap that goes onto the shock tower cap, bolts into place, and actually this is the second version of this. The original cap that I made was just a basic cap. You put a washer on top and then the nut on top of that. And that actually created quite a bit of resistance as you were tightening the nut down to compress the spring. So I came up with this little setup right here, which made all the difference in the world. Got a washer, bearing, spacer for said bearing, and then we've got a bearing race. And even though this is not exactly how a wheel bearing is designed to work, it worked phenomenally well. And the whole system just goes up and down, smooth as silk, not a lot of resistance. So upgrading to this bearing type system is the way to go. Now, I have information on my website, an entire web page, talking about how this unit was built. It's really not that complicated. It's really not that hard. A couple of things besides the bearing cap that need to be noted. Heavy-duty rosette welds were put on both sides to attach the all thread into the 3/4 inch square tubing. I also had to round the edges on the underside of this plate to get it to fit properly into the spring perch. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Now, a lot of people don't like spring compressors like this, especially if they're changing out the spring perch. And the reason for that is the spring perch becomes part of the spring compressor. So in order to change out the spring perch, you have to remove the upper control arm. This allows you to fully decompress the spring, remove the spring perch off the end, install the new spring perch, put the spring back in, compress everything back up, and slide the upper control arm back into place. And people complain that that takes too much time. With a compressor like this, I don't have to disassemble the front suspension. I can leave the upper control arm in place. You just compress the spring, remove the spring, then you can take the spring perch out, go ahead and put the spring back in, no problem. And they're right. This is quicker. This also sent me to the emergency room. The time that it takes for me to remove the upper control arm is time well spent. And so I think that going with something like this on a classic Ford, classic Falcon, Granada, like I said, some Fairlanes, some Torinos, there's a whole bunch of different Fords that all use that shock tower design. This, in my humble opinion, is the only way to go. So let me give you just a basic demonstration on how this works. We're not actually going to compress a spring, but I am going to show you the basics on how the system works and exactly what's involved in getting it all set up. So here we have a 65-66 Mustang shock tower, and we're going to lay it down on the bench, and I'm going to show you how this whole process works. We're not actually going to compress a spring because, well, I don't feel like taking my life into my hands. But the reality of it is it's very safe using the spring compressor that I built myself. Now, for those of you that are wondering, and I get this question all the time, no, I am not interested in making and selling spring compressors like this. And the only reason for that is liability. I know that this spring compressor is solidly built. I know that this spring compressor will work phenomenally well for many, many removals and installs of springs. What I can't trust is that everybody who buys one will use it correctly. And if they use it incorrectly and something goes catastrophically wrong, we live in a litigious society and someone could come back to me and say that I am responsible. So please don't ask. I'm not interested in making and selling them. However, the information that's on my website that shows how to build them can be printed out. And you should be able to take it to a local fabrication shop, and they should easily be able to make something very similar to this for you. So here we have the spring compressor. Now, I've already installed it on the spring perch, and the reason I did that is sometimes it takes a little bit to get those nuts in place, and you didn't need to see that. So what we end up doing is the spring gets installed. You have to make sure that the spring perch is going the correct direction. This notch right here is for the ball joint on the upper control arm. So this notch always goes to the outside of the car. So the spring is on the top, and we go ahead and slide everything into place. Then, if I turn this, on this end, we have the tensioning cap. And it slides down over the all thread. All right, when properly installed, everything needs to be tight. These 2 screws need to be tightly screwed into the shock tower cap. And you also need to make sure that the 3 bolts holding the shock tower cap are also tight. If any of this is loose, this is what's supporting the tension from that spring. You need to make sure it's all tight prior to compressing a spring. All right, with our cap installed, in my particular case, I can now go with the bearing and the tensioning nut. And as we tighten down this nut, it's going to draw the spring up. Now, I'm not going to bore you with me tightening this up because, well, that would be tedious and nobody wants to see that. So we're just going to pretend the spring's there. As we tighten it up, we have now created room for our upper control arm to be installed. Now, this works with a standard configuration of holes. This works with holes that have had the Shelby drop done. We'll go ahead and install the upper control arm. As you can see, it fits in the upper holes, although if you have both sets of holes, there's absolutely no reason to ever use the upper holes because the Shelby drop is better. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. And then you begin to slowly decompress, lining up the spring perch and getting it in place. And once the tension is off of the spring compressor and the spring weight is now on the spring perch and the upper control arm, we can now go ahead and unbolt the spring compressor. Same is true to remove a spring. Let's say you have your suspension totally put together. You would take the shock out, you would install the spring compressor, you would bolt it to the spring perch. You would unbolt the spring perch from the upper control arm. You would tighten up the spring to create room. You would then remove the upper control arm, and then from there you can loosen the spring compressor and slowly and safely remove the spring from the car. And that's it. That's how it all works. That's how it all goes together. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them down in the comments, and I would love to get back to you.
If you like what you've seen, please click like. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.